Hello, everyone. First of all, a very happy 2024 to each one of you. And secondly, I thank you for sticking around and for being so patient. So, this video, it took me 1 year and 6 months to shoot this entire video. It has been a process. And you can see that I have my ZZ plant over here, and that two of the stalks are. They are very yellow, they are not healthy, so I just removed it so that the plant doesn't invest more of its energy. I cut it from the bottom, and what I did was that I also identified some other stalks where I could see the yellowness, that the petiole is getting older and eventually it's going to die off. So I thought, let's try and see if we can propagate it in any way. So again, I identified those stalks and I cut it. And here I just took some garden soil and I planted those petioles. You can see the yellowness that I was talking about earlier, that the petioles are not the healthiest. Now, in about 3 to 4 months, please note that I kept it in the balcony. I was not watering it, I just watered it very sparingly. You can see that the soil is pretty dry. In about 3 to 4 months, I could see that the first step was that the formation of the rhizome, that the cuttings, they produced roots and a rhizome, and eventually you can see that a new growth pushed out, and we have a brand new petiole from it. Eventually you will see that these cuttings, which were not the healthiest to begin with, eventually slowly disintegrated and died, and we have two new petioles coming from these two mother cuttings. Here, can you see the rhizome that I was talking about earlier? And do note that the soil is pretty dry. So even though it's a process that takes fair amount of time, but I wanted to see that can we use older cuttings to, which are not very healthy, to propagate. Here you can see that the the new petiole that we had from the mother cutting is pushing out another petiole, so the growth is very slow, but yeah, slowly we are getting there. Now it took about a year for this whole process, and now this year again I could see that there are some petioles which are kind of yellow, they are not healthy. So I am repeating the same thing again after a year and a half, that I'm removing the yellow, the dried petioles, so that the plant can save some of its energy, and seeing if I can salvage some of it and use it for propagation. So I'm going to make some clean cuts and keep these cuttings ready for propagation. Make sure that whichever pruning tool that you're using is sterilized, it's clean, and you make a sharp cut so that the plant is not exposed to any infection. So I removed two or three of these stalks so that we have a lush green plant. And yes, I'm going to let these two cuttings dry up a little bit, remove the yellow leaves from it so that the unhealthy, the yellow leaves or the weaker leaves can be removed, and the cuttings do not stress, do not waste more energy into the leaves which are not very healthy to begin with. I will just let them air dry for some time, for a day or two. You will notice that the area where you have made a cut will eventually dry off. Right now you can see that it looks pretty fresh. You can just let it air dry, or you can simply, you do not have to wait for it to dry. You can simply just propagate it. I think I let it dry for a longer period than that was necessary, and I'm just sticking it into some garden soil, and just waiting for the miracle.